I bought this mixer back in January of 2024 and I've been using it weekly ever since. Over the past year and a half, I've also made a few YouTube videos covering its features, but in this video, I want to share my long-term thoughts after consistently using it for over a year. The short version, I really like this mixer. Before this, I was using analog mixers, and like many of you, I was a bit nervous about switching to digital mixers. I thought it might be too overwhelming or complicated for me. But that wasn't the case at all. This mixer is surprisingly easy to set up and use, even for a beginner, and it includes some smart features that make this process even smoother. It's not perfect, but honestly, I don't think there's anything else on the digital market right now that comes close to what this offers. I've used this mixer for client work, church services, long recording sessions and live streams, and it continues to impress me. In my previous videos, I've briefly touched on some of the mixer's limitations, and since then I've run into a few more issues that I think are worth discussing, alongside sharing what it's been like to rely on this mixer in the real world, week after week. This mixer packs a lot of features, especially for something so compact. There are 18 inputs, 6 auxiliary outputs, built-in effects, smart assistant features, physical rotaries and soft keys, and my personal favorite, the built-in touchscreen. At this price point, the built-in touchscreen is what convinced me to buy the CQ18t. Most digital mixers in this price range, like the Soundcraft UI24R, Mackie DL16S, or even the PreSonus Studio Live 16R, don't include a built-in touchscreen. This means that you either have to buy a tablet or use your phone just to use the mixer. I understand these digital mixers aren't necessarily designed for desk work or for absolute beginners, but having the touchscreen built in just makes everything more accessible and convenient. I was initially a bit concerned about the touchscreen's durability, especially since I've carried this mixer in a backpack and taken it on public transport multiple times. But I'm happy to say that the screen is still in perfect condition. No scratches and no dead zones. It's maintained its responsiveness too, with zero lag even after a year and a half of regular use. This touchscreen cuts down so much friction when routing and mixing, and makes using this mixer feel effortless and snappy. The smart features take things a step further. One of the most helpful is the auto gain feature, which automatically reduces the gain if it detects clipping. While it won't prevent the audio from clipping entirely, it will lower the gain gradually once clipping starts. This is especially useful during long recording sessions, as I am often performing while recording and can't immediately adjust the gain or even notice it if an input is clipping. I leave the auto gain on if I'm unsure whether an input might clip. It's particularly helpful with live room mics or when recording a band, where clipping can easily occur if the gain is set too high. While I usually set my gain manually, this feature is a great safety net, just in case things get too loud or I miss a sudden change in volume. Speaking of recording, the preamps on the CQ18t are excellent. They have a low signal to noise ratio, and they sound clean when boosting in post. Because of this, even when the gain isn't set properly, the audio still comes through clean. This is especially useful when I'm recording my choir for weddings or services. In those high-stress situations, there's a lot of things happening, and I don't always have time to dial in the gain for every channel perfectly. These clean preamps allow for great flexibility when mixing in post by allowing the gain to be raised without introducing noise. To put things into perspective, it's helpful to look at where the CQ series sits in relation to Allen & Heath's SQ range, which is the higher end lineup aimed at more demanding professional applications. The SQ mixers are more powerful with advanced routing capabilities, complex processing options, Dante support, and physical faders. Using both these mixers, I was surprised by how much the CQ18t borrows from the SQ range, both in terms of design language and in their user interface. Despite being more compact, the CQ18t feels like a streamlined version of the SQ mixer. The touchscreen experience, software layout, and even some of the processing tools feel very familiar if you've used the SQ mixers before. The processing section between the CQ and the SQ ranges is quite similar. The SQ mixer definitely gives you more advanced features like mix control over the compressor and some more advanced routing options. But honestly, the tools built into the CQ mixer still cover everything I need for live sound and recording, especially for smaller setups. The real-time response function in the EQ section is accurate, and the metering throughout the processing page is excellent and responsive. This is true for the effects section as well. The built-in effects are high quality and versatile. Routing them is similar to the SQ lineup, but just without the faders. Overall, I think Alan and Heath have done a good job making the processing page feel more professional while keeping it beginner friendly. The CQ18t's ability to create custom presets is one of the best features of this mixer. I've created custom presets for each of my choir singers so that when it's time to set up, I can quickly load their individual settings, saving a lot of time and effort. Coming from an analog mixer, this feature has been a total game changer. It's convenient as it allows me to easily update and override presets for vocalists and instrumentalists as needed. This is not perfect, as often different venues will have acoustic characteristics that we'll need correcting for. But even the ability to recall names and track colors makes it easy to keep things organized and saves a lot of time. The scenes page is also another standout feature, which I think is borrowed from the SQ lineup. This makes it easy to set up and switch between different shows or performance setups. If you're coming from an analog mixer, I think this is going to save you a lot of time and make your workflow much smoother. If you've got this mixer, I would highly recommend spending some time creating your own presets and scenes and using them for your next gig. The June 2024 software update 1.2 for the CQ series introduced some highly requested features, including custom layer, group mutes, DCAs, and many other features and improvements. Custom layer is especially helpful when I'm mixing a small group with just a couple of vocal mics and instruments. Custom layer helps reduce page hopping by allowing me to move the instruments or effects from other pages into one page. This makes mixing more convenient and allows for easy access to some of the complex routing options of the mixer. The mute groups and DCAs are useful on their own, but the mute groups stand out in particular. They allow all outputs to be muted with a single soft key, which is perfect for panic mutes or when you need to mute everything with just one button. The software updates have been fantastic, and I hope Alan and Heath continues to develop and improve these mixes in the future. Also, if you're interested in requesting features, the community page link is in the description. Another feature is the feedback assistant, which really sets the CQ18t apart from other mixes, including the SQ mixes. Feedback assistant can be enabled on both the aux and the main outputs, and automatically detects and reduces frequencies causing feedback. It's incredibly useful when you're in a rush or you don't have time to ring out the room manually, acting as a built-in safety net during live performances. I haven't had the chance to use this feature live as often, but during testing it worked pretty well to reduce the feedback frequencies. It's definitely great to have in your back pocket when you're on a tight schedule. This feature isn't available on the SQ range, and I'm curious as to whether this will be added in a future update. Recording via the USB is straightforward. The mixer connects to your computer using a USB-B cable and shows up as a standalone audio interface. You can choose between multi-track or stereo record mode. Stereo mode is great for live streaming as it sends the main left and right directly through the USB. On the other hand, multi-track mode is perfect for if you're recording individual channels to mix later. For the multi-tracked outputs, you can select the source point of the multi-track recording. For example, you can send the signal directly after the preamp or after the EQ. I usually keep it on post preamp since I prefer to do my own mixing in post and don't want EQ moves to affect the recording. Now, the internal SD card recording is a bit of a mixed bag. If you're recording more than 9 inputs over a long session, things can get sketchy. I've had files come out corrupted, which was incredibly disappointing, especially when I was recording something important. It might be an issue with the SD card compatibility or write speed of the mixer itself, but either way, it's made me lose trust in the SD recording for anything critical, and especially for client work. Personally, I'd avoid relying on it altogether. Which leads me into some of the issues that I've had with this mixer. Now, to be fair, these problems might just be with my specific unit, but I think it's important to share for anyone considering this mixer or already using it. The first is to do with the headphone outputs. In both jacks, the left channel has become quieter and is now distorting, which makes both outputs pretty much unusable for proper monitoring. I've tried different headphones and changing the routing for headphones through the software, but nothing works. Another issue cropped up on channel 15. About 8 months in, I started getting occasional bursts of random noise from channel 15, just brief moments of interference. I ended up turning the gain all the way down, which helps reduce the noise, but it also means that I can't really use this input anymore. Another issue I've run into involves power and stability. Occasionally, the mixer will just emit a loud, continuous noise across all channels, kind of like a static burst, and it doesn't stop until I restart the mixer. In most cases, restarting the mixer helps, especially during longer recording sessions, but there have been times where even a restart doesn't fix it right away, which is obviously concerning. Now, these problems don't make the mixer totally unusable, but I'll be honest, they do shake my confidence, especially in a live professional environment. When you're in the middle of a session, reliability is key. Now, I want to quickly run through some of the features that I didn't quite use as much. Wireless connectivity, excellent. CQ apps, well designed and work well. Automatic mic mixing, haven't used it as much for live singing. MIDI, did some testing but haven't used it at all. Overall, the past year with the CQ18t has made live sound a lot easier for me. Whether I'm using it for multi-track recording, client work, or live streaming, it's super compact, easy to set up, and highly configurable. I think the features that it offers are excellent at this price point. It's been really fun learning how to use its different capabilities and testing them out for you all. I haven't explored every single feature yet, but for the kind of work I do, it more than gets the job done. Sure, there are other mixers out there, some even cheaper, but the CQ series feels like it's in a league of its own. But I'd be interested to try out some of the more affordable digital mixers from Behringer or Mackie at some point to see how they compare, especially now that I feel more confident at using digital mixers and know what they offer. That said, my CQ18t is not perfect, and I've run into some issues as I mentioned earlier. But I genuinely believe there is nothing like the CQ18t mixer in the digital mixing market, and so I'm sticking with the CQ18t for now. What are you using your mixer for? And what's your favorite feature? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you're doing with your mixer. Thanks for watching.